Hey guys, so I used to do on my TikTok channel more than what I do now, little like art supply hauls of cheap art supplies, and I found something kind of cool. I went to my local Pop Shelf, which is new to my area, but I guess it's a chain kind of similar to like dollar stores or other more bougie dollar stores, something similar to like a Five Below. They're just a little bit nicer than your average dollar store. And I purchased a couple of things. Actually, I purchased enough stuff for me to actually complete a finished piece of artwork like what I normally do. I just got cheaper versions of it. So, like you can see on my receipt here, I spent about $23 on all of this combined. Let me show you what I got. So I got washi tape, which I honestly don't even really use that much anymore, but it was just kind of cool that they had nice washi tape. I also got some cheap brushes. These are double-ended brush tip markers. They look like they're water soluble. I use a lot of ink pens with my line art with watercolor pencils. I thought this was so bizarre that a dollar store would have watercolor pencils. So there's 8 pieces here, and I think there's 8 in there. And then the major thing, gouache paints. How weird is it that a dollar store has gouache? This is hard to find at your basic hobby store like your Hobby Lobby or your Michaels, let alone a friggin' dollar store. I thought that was so weird. They had watercolors as well, but I was already spending so much money on garbage that I'm not going to use anymore after this. I'll donate this to like a friend's kid or something when I'm all finished with this. But I mean, gouache is supposed to be able to water it down. It's a thick watercolor, so I don't need to get watercolors with this. I'll just water it down and use it as watercolors. But this alone gives me enough to be able to do an entire painting like how I usually do it. And I just wanted to see how I could successfully accomplish that. I did not get paper. They had watercolor paper there as well. But I have so much paper as it is that I'm never going to finish using it, that I didn't really want to buy more paper. I'm a little bit iffy on its quality too, because the watercolor paper itself said it was only like 180 GSM. I don't know if it necessarily felt like it was 180, but I would have tried it out. But like I said, I have so much paper, I'm never going to get through the paper that I already have, so it's just an excuse to use what I already have. That doesn't make any sense, but it's fine. So we're going to give this a try. I don't know what I'm going to paint, but we'll have to think of something. Okay, so before I paint anything, we kind of need to swatch these paints out. And swatching is honestly like my least favorite thing to have to do in painting. But we're going to use my Hahnemühle toned watercolor paper. This is a tan toned. I've used this before with other paintings. It's actually my favorite watercolor paper so far. But I actually have a sketch in here. Yeah, I actually made this into its own little sketchbook. You see, I did my own little sketchbook binding. But I actually have a sketch in here that I think we might paint this one. But we need to swatch all these out first, just to see if I can even do anything with these paints. So we're going to do that. Okay, so since I'm fumbling with packaging, it actually comes in a cute little tray. Alrighty. I think we'll just probably just do this bad, and we'll just probably pull paint out of the tube. I have water, paper. Oh shoot, I need a paper towel. Be right back. Okay, I think I'm all ready. So I like to use the first page in my sketchbooks as a swatch page anyway, just because it kind of takes away the first page anxiety. But here goes the white. So that's without any water as it is. That's not too bad. I don't know. It doesn't look ridiculously opaque like some of my other paints that I have, but that goes on pretty smooth. With the toned paper, that white is really kind of a key element to my artwork. Anyway, so I could use that. That's not bad. Let me see. I'm gonna make a mess. I've got paint everywhere. Alrighty. So let me turn this off and then I'll come back when I'm done swatching the rest of these out. Okay, I'm done swatching these out. And I do have to say, so far, I'm actually a little bit impressed. And I just realized that they actually have the light fastness information on the tubes. So I guess these actually are light fast. Go figure. I tried to see if I had anything that I could compare these to. I actually don't really own that much normal gouache. I own a lot of acrylic gouache, and then the regular gouache that I do own are just like convenience mixes. So it's not stuff that you would generally, you know, be able to like mix and match or compare and contrast with. I am going to use just some Holbein gouache. This is a cadmium red purple, just because I'm curious to see. This isn't even a color that I think I've used it one time. I just want to see if it's even kind of comparable to, yeah, so the Holbein is a little bit, it's a lot thicker. Actually, this is a lot more pigmented, but I don't actually have like a whole crimson to compare with. So this is a little bit chunkier, thicker, much more pigmented. This one's a lot weaker, more like a watercolor, which is fine. I mean, that's fine. I'm sure I could lay this on if I actually squirted it out of the tube. Those may be a little bit more opaque, but it just kind of interesting so far. I do have the pencils. I'm a little bit curious to see what the pencils look like. So let me grab one of those, clean off my brushes. So these are the watercolor pencils. So these should be, of course, water soluble. Okay, it's kind of got a little bit of a blunt tip to it. Let me try and fix that. The other issue is some watercolor pencils break really easy when you go to sharpen them. Like, I can't use the Prismacolor ones at all because every time I go to sharpen, it breaks. So what is this? Oh, it doesn't have any information on the barrel. It doesn't have no pigment information. I guess just make it up. I don't know how I'd be able to tell this from some other pencils. You have to find your own labeling system, I guess. But that's some sort of a red color. Let's add a little bit of water to it. And yeah, it's a watercolor pencil. Okay, that's cool. So let's test something else out. So whenever I do line art, generally I have like a sketch, and then, is that even on camera? Maybe, yeah. And then I usually grab my ink pen. I usually use the Faber-Castell Pit Artist pen. Sorry, I'm trying to open up my pens off camera. And then, so I have my sketch layer, and then I will like watercolor in the middle. And then I'll usually outline with a Pit Artist pen. So I'll outline with a Pit Artist pen my drawing, and then I will go in with a watercolor pencil. Let me grab the black for funsies here, and let's sharpen this guy. So far so good. And then I'll usually go back in. I actually kind of like the way that these things create a point. That's a nice solid point. So far I'm liking this better than the Prismacolor watercolor pencils. Okay, and then I'll usually just go back in, and then I'll go back in again with some more ink and try and spread that around. That's not bad either. What does the other side look like? It's like a chunky nub. Oh, that might be, I don't know. I don't know which side. I'd probably use the brush side. Oh, but that's a lot thinner than this side is. I don't know. That's not bad. So that's everything that I need for a painting. I've got my watercolor pencils, my ink pens, and some gouache. What does it look like on the inside of the paper? Not bad. So now I just need to figure out, we're going to have to do a lot of color mixing to come up with colors, because I'm not going to just use primary colors. And then we'll see if maybe we can paint this guy over here. I'm kind of intrigued. Okay, so I had to go back in and highlight some of the major parts of my sketch before I started painting. I did forget, I forgot already that I had purchased some paintbrushes, so I'm going to use these cheap Mont Marte paintbrushes as well while I do this, I guess. But I think overall my plan of attack is going to be, I'm going to do the background first, so I'm just going to kind of fill this in with lots of just watered down greens. I'm really just going to do this on the fly, and then I'll come back in and I'll do the individual characters afterwards. So we're going to start with some really like watered down green. And I don't even know, oh no, I already have like a hair from my paintbrush sticking out. This isn't a good sign. But I think I'm just going to color everything in. I don't even think I'm going to specify like the leaves. I'll just do that later on when I'm finishing up my line art. But we're just going to throw in a bunch of really watered down greens and bluish greens, and try not to touch the actual characters themselves. So you can see this is gouache, but you can see I've really got it watered down. So I guess we'll kind of do like the bluish greens for the background. And then in spaces where I don't have leaves, we're just going to kind of mix it up. And I don't think I'm going to film my entire painting strategy, because that would take too long. And I occasionally have to get up to go do things, but we'll do one major step at a time. Okay, so this is where I'm at. So I think for right now, I'm finished with the leaves. What I was tempted to do, I don't know if I'll do it. I think I'll just wait till post-production, but I'm going to turn this entire background white. I just don't know if this white gouache this set comes with is going to be able to handle that kind of stress. So I'll probably just edit it out in post-production, or I'll cheat and I'll go back in with white acrylic gouache just for this sketchbook's sake. But this is going to be turned white. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to look up references of toucans, because I don't remember what toucans look like. And then we'll do the little leopard guy and we'll go from there. Okay, y'all. So, well, first of all, the sun is going down, so my lighting is changing. But this is as far as I've gotten, and I am already cheating. So I'm having some issues. For one thing, it's like everything is like a granulating color. Nothing is laying down smoothly, and I'm having a hard time mixing colors together. I'm getting really unhappy with the oranges in the beaks. It's just the colors just aren't mixing like I want them to, and then they're just not laying down smoothly like I want them to. And then the black is also, this is as opaque as I can get the black. Even just slathering the color on, pulling it straight out the tube, it's still just light. It's not black black. Like that's like diluted. So I'm getting pretty frustrated. My little toucans were just staying like light purple. They weren't getting dark, so I did put in some darker watercolor in there. I'm sorry, I cheated. But I had to separate, the colors. I needed to get the color in there, and they just were not going dark. They were just staying light and washed out. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep going. There's always an ugly stage, but I'm a little bit worried. I don't know if I'll be able to 100% complete this like I wanted to, but we'll see. We'll keep going. Okay, so this is as far as I'm going to go for right now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the brush tip marker and I'm going to go through and I'm going to, essentially just outline anything. Light colors go with like colors, so all of this orange, I'm going to outline. I'll go back through and re-add extra details with paint when I get to the end of this. So we're outlining, and then let's see what other color I have in here. Dark color. We'll outline. So kind of like so. This kind of helps also, like, just fill in some gaps. If you've got paint that was kind of maybe pushed out of the way, this is your time to kind of fix small errors. And then once you get done outlining everything, then you can go back in with your colored pencils. And we'll just do black. And then you can just kind of additionally highlight important areas. And because this is a watercolor pencil, it's gonna get reactivated again if you touch watery areas. But you can go back through and amplify that outline with the marker again. And it just kind of helps highlight more specifically. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through with my markers, and then I'm going to highlight specific spots with the colored pencil. And then we'll see what that looks like when I'm finished. Okay, so this is it. This is all that I'm going to do with this for right now. I hate everything. So this watercolor pencil, yeah, it keeps flaking. I don't know if you can see. It just, every time I sharpen it, it just breaks into a bajillion pieces. It shatters really easy. Not very fun to line with. The little, these markers aren't really all too bad. It's just a little bit thick, and I need a little bit more colors than this. Actually, this is the bright set, I think. They did have additional colors, but I only purchased the 8 that I have right now, so I need a little bit more colors than that. But I don't like the gouache. The watercolor pencils are only just okay. I am still not convinced that they're any worse than like the Prismacolor watercolor pencils, but the gouache is awful. So that's sad. Would I recommend this? I don't know, because I don't know what child, like, it's the quality that you wouldn't want to give like an older kid or an adult. It's not something you would give as a gift, but I don't know what small child would want a set of watercolor pencils or gouache, you know. My 13-year-old self would not have wanted this. My 13-year-old self would have wanted something more professional, along the lines of professional. So I know that gouache is pretty pricey as it is, and it isn't something that's readily available in stores. Maybe you can find some of the Liquitex acrylic gouache, but that's about it. So if you were really, really, really on a budget, would I recommend any of these? No, I would just order something off of Amazon. Like you could get the, you know, the Mia Himi jelly gouache. You could really just save up and get you some Holbein for a birthday. That's all I'll say. And then even if, I know I was using this as more of like a watercolor rather than a gouache, but you can get better quality watercolor that acts more like a gouache than these. I would save a couple extra dollars and get you like a set of the Prima Marketing watercolor confections from Hobby Lobby. I have actually gotten under $20 set of watercolors off of Amazon that worked really, really well. And they're not that expensive. I mean, I think these cost me like $5 or something, but spend you like $20 and get you a much better set. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use my traditional tools, what I usually use, and I'm going to try and salvage this. So I'm going to use my watercolor pencils that I usually use by Caran d'Ache. I may have to fill in some blanks with some just traditional colored pencils as well. I'm going to use some white ink for some highlights, and we'll just see if we can save this and turn it into something. Okay, so new day. I did run out of time last night trying to finish this, so I finished it this morning, and I'm done. I'm not doing any more. I think I already stated my distaste for these paints. Yeah, not a fan. I do recommend just spending a little bit more money on something a little bit more professional. I don't even recommend them for a child or a hobbyist, really. You can spend a little bit more for better quality, and it shows. What I did end up doing is I just went over some problem areas that I had with my regular palette that I normally use, just to help smooth out some areas. I did some additional detail work with some colored pencils, and I add a lot of excessive white highlighting. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scan this into the computer, and then you'll be able to see the finished product on my Instagram, which I'll link below. But yeah, she turned out a lot cuter than I thought she would. I was afraid I was going to ruin this for sure, but you know, good surprise, I guess. But that's it. That's her. So thank you so much for watching and sticking around, and we'll do something like it again here soon. Bye.